Hello and welcome back to Fattening the Curve. One of the adjustments that we're all having to make in this time of isolation is spending a lot more time at home with our significant others. Most people would find that a rewarding and bonding experience, but some people struggle with all that extra contact. So today, we're going to show you how spending time together doing enjoyable tasks can help mitigate arguments and just ease the pressure in the household. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my partner, Danny.
Hello.
Danny, how have you found working at home with your significant other?
Well, if I'm going to be completely honest, working at home with Ryan has been both rewarding and enriching. I couldn't imagine being in isolation with anyone else, even Liam Hemsworth.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you. Hey, have you ever wondered if the two E's in B are silent? No, nor have I. Speaking of bees though, honey is one of the ingredients in today's recipe, and we're going to be making a French apple tart. Can you speak any French?
No. Can you?
No, but I can laugh in French.
Is there really honey in French apple tart?
No, traditionally there isn't, but I just wanted to get the bee pun in there. Let's go through the ingredients that we're going to be using today. This recipe is broken down into 4 different parts. First up, there's the pastry. Then
Are you going to put a graphic on the screen?
Sure, yeah, let's put a graphic on the screen.
Are you going to put it in the right or left?
I was going to put it on the left because that's you. Right, okay. The ingredients that we're going to be using today are now currently on your screen. Start off by combining the flour, sugar and salt in a large bowl. Add the butter and work it into the flour mixture with your fingers. Next, with your fingers, work in the egg yolk until it starts to resemble a fine meal. Speaking of fine meals, I remember our first fine meal that we had together at Mr. Miyagi on Chapel Street.
No, it wasn't. It was at Press Club.
No, it was at Mr. Miyagi because anyway, I don't think we should be talking about Press Club. Then what you want to do is mold the pastry into a ball, wrap it tightly in cling film and refrigerate it overnight.
So did you do one last night?
Yes, so because yesterday I definitely made a batch of the pastry dough, so we can continue on today to make the next part of the recipe, which is the pastry cream.
Yes, it's definitely still today.
In a bowl, we're going to whisk some ingredients together. So we're going to take a tablespoon of corn flour. We're going to use a tablespoon of plain flour and 2 to 3 tablespoons. No, use the measuring tablespoon.
It's a tablespoon.
Yes, I know it's a tablespoon, but use the measuring tablespoon. That's a tablespoon. So 1 tablespoon of the corn flour. Yeah, or 1 heaped tablespoon. 1 tablespoon of plain flour. And then let's put 2 or 3 tablespoons of the sugar inside. What I've done is I've already gone and separated 3 egg yolks. We only want the yolks for this recipe.
There's a lot of white in that.
There's not a lot of white in that.
Yeah, there is.
No, there's not.
There's a lot of white.
It's not, it's mostly
Is
egg
that
yolk.
how you separate egg whites?
So I've separated the egg yolks and we're going to put those in to the dry ingredients. And then we're going to just whisk them up into, just so that it's nice and smooth. You want to get all the dry stuff off the side.
You know, you should whisk it like in your arm. You should whisk it in your arm.
Why does it matter? So, whisking it up, you want to make a smooth paste. While I'm doing this, do you want to grab a vanilla pod out of the cupboard?
Sure.
So, once you've incorporated it, all the dry ingredients off the side of the bowl, and it's looking smooth, you don't want to over whisk it. You can set that aside.
Where's the vanilla pod?
On the shelf.
Where?
On the shelf with all the rest of the dry ingredients.
Right, left, where is it?
There, what's that? Right in front. That's the vanilla pod.
Well, I don't know, you moved it.
Yeah, I know it's deceptive because it says vanilla bean on it.
Yeah, but it wasn't in its...
Right. So, now we'll grab one of these. Now, do you want to split that in half?
Sure.
Lengthways.
Like that way?
No, so it comes apart.
Okay, you can.
Yeah, I'll do it, yeah. Right, do you want to grab some milk out of the fridge and a pot? Because we're going to heat up the milk next. We're going to heat up 1 cup of milk. And no, just can you get normal milk, please, not lactose-free milk?
I don't want to use lactose-free.
No, we can't use lactose-free milk because we're
lactose-free?
baking. You have to. This tart needs
What's
lactose.
wrong with
French
lactose-free?
need lactose. They love their lactose. Some normal, proper lactose enriched milk, and then do you want to grab a saucepan? So the reason you split the vanilla pod down the middle is so that the vanilla pods, the little seeds inside, can come out and can infuse with the milk. But you will end up throwing these away once the, we'll use the small one because we're only using a cup of milk.
How many mils is a cup?
Well, it's 250, but just use the cup measurer. The
Why?
measure of the cup
This is for
measure.
liquid.
Yeah, I know, but it's, if you just get a cup, then you can pour the milk into 1 cup because 1 cup of milk.
But that's not for liquid.
Well, it can be for liquid, it can be for anything.
But a liquid isn't the same way as a grain.
It doesn't, that's why we're using cups. Yep, use that one, 250 mils. You can use anything you want as long as we get 250 mils of milk into the pot. Well done. Put the 2 pods into there
Yes.
and put it on the stove, and we're going to heat it up gently. Now, you want to make sure that you give the milk mixture a bit of a stir while it's heating up on the stove, because that will enable the vanilla beans to circulate around and just add that flavor infusion into the milk. Now that the milk is coming up to temperature, I reckon it's time to take it off the stove, because we're going to incorporate it into our mixture that we've used before. Don't you want to use the heat protection thing for
No,
this?
don't need to. It's on a marble bench.
Well, it's good practice anyway to use that. You should always use that. So you keep on whisking, and I'm going to slowly but surely pour this in. Now, the reason you don't want to do it all at once is because this milk is quite hot. It's not quite boiling, but if you just dumped it all in, you'd end up scrambling the eggs that we put in there earlier. So that's the last of it. Now, you can stop whisking. What you need to do is pop that back onto the stove on a medium heat. We're going to bring it to the boil, whisk it every now and again. You're looking for the consistency of a custard.
How long is this going to take?
I don't know, until it bubbles up. You got somewhere to be? So now that our pastry cream is turned into a custard, you can set it aside to cool. It's best to cover it with a bit of cling film. You covered it with cling film?
Yes.
Best to cover it with some cling film so you don't get a skin on the top of it. Now you want that pastry cream to cool completely before we put it into our into the pastry. Next step is the apples. Now I like to use Granny Smith tart firm apples. It's quite important that they're fresh apples. Yeah, I mean you can use soggy apples, but where are the rest of the Granny Smith apples? There was like 7 or 8 here.
Might have eaten them.
But right, so you don't have to use Granny Smith apples. You can use any apples really. So what we're going to use is a mixture of apples today on our tart. So we need to peel these. Do you want to grab the peeler? Generally, you would use Granny Smith apples in baking and tart. That when you bake it, it tends to be like so. So once you've found the apple peeler, we need to peel and core the apples. Reckon you can handle that?
What, peel and core all of it?
Yes.
All the apples?
Yes, because we need to get them into the pie.
How long is it going to take?
Well, I don't know.
Well, I need to do something.
Well, we're doing this now. You said you were going to help me do this.
But that's a lot. That's a big job. Why don't you peel
It's
one?
5 apples. I can do one as well. I can use a knife.
Right, here we go. Peel the apple.
But you knew
I don't
that.
know
Now that apparently we're under time constraints, we've already gone ahead and off camera, we've sliced the apples, we've cored the apples, and now we've put them in a bowl with some lemon juice and some cinnamon. Now the reason is because you basically want to create a nice...
Hello, this is Danny speaking. Oh, hey!
So because we need to wrap this up, what we did off camera, we assembled the tart, we put the tart in the oven, and now it's time to take the tart out of the oven, if it's okay with you. We have our French apple tart. Now, what are you doing?
I'm cutting a slice
You
so I can eat
can't
it.
cut a slice yet. It has to go into the fridge and chill for 24 hours.
So I can't eat it?
No, it has to go in the fridge first. So, as I was saying, before you can eat the tart, what you need to do is you need to pop it in the fridge for 24 hours.
Babe, can you keep it down, please? I'm on a work call.
There's no questions that these are difficult times. We're all stuck together, we're getting on each other's nerves. Rather than engaging and making things more tense, sometimes it's easier to just surrender. We'll see you next time on Fattening the Curve.